Welcome to today's transformation dive into ditching the someday and embracing the today. If you're scrolling through perfectly curated lives online or staring at your bank balance, wondering where it all went wrong, and you just can't shake that feeling of being stuck, you're in the right place. We're about to expose one of the biggest traps keeping you from financial momentum and personal growth. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that actually moves the needle, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think in getting this message out. And seriously, drop a comment with where you're watching from, or even just your biggest money habit win from this past week. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. You open your banking app, and yeah, you flinch. Maybe you've been avoiding it like a bad ex, or maybe you check it obsessively, but the number just sits there, stagnant, or worse, doing a slow fade. There's this persistent knot in your stomach because you know you're putting in effort, showing up for work, maybe even trying to budget or save, but it feels like you're on a financial treadmill stuck on neutral. Meanwhile, it seems like everyone else is unlocking life achievements, buying homes, jetting off to exotic places, launching thriving businesses. You catch yourself thinking, what's their secret? What's that one huge thing I'm missing? The truth is, the financial world, and let's be real, most of online hustle culture, thrives on selling you the myth of the big leap. Think about it. The get-rich-quick schemes, the single stock pick that makes millions, the legendary negotiation that triples your salary overnight, or heck, just winning the lottery. We're constantly bombarded with stories of massive, sudden success, conditioning us to look for the silver bullet, the magical shortcut that bypasses the years of consistent effort. And this waiting for the one big thing, this belief that only monumental actions matter, is exactly what keeps you stuck. It whispers that small efforts are insignificant, that incremental progress is painstakingly slow and therefore pointless, and that unless you can do something instantly life-altering, why even bother? This thinking is a powerful psychological trap. It paralyzes action, keeping you dreaming about an impossible leap instead of taking a perfectly possible step today. The surprising myth here is that successful people often aren't defined by one massive jump, but by a compounding series of smart, consistent small steps. Ask yourself, what's one tiny, almost laughably small financial or personal step you could take today that you've been putting off? Don't search for the leap. Just take that one step. Here's the uncomfortable truth about real financial success, the one that isn't plastered on clickbait headlines. It's not built on massive, life-altering leaps. It's constructed brick by tiny, almost insignificant brick through consistent action. You realize this isn't the flashy get-rich-quick story. And that's okay. Think about it like compounding interest, but for your habits, your discipline, and yes, your dollars. $1 saved today feels utterly pointless. $1 invested feels laughably small. $1 earned from a new skill feels like barely anything. But what happens when you do that, or a slightly larger version of it, every single day, week, or month, for years on end? That's where the real, quiet magic begins. People often underestimate this. They chase the adrenaline rush of a big win, trying to save $1,000 in a month and feeling like a total failure when they only manage 50. Or launching a side hustle, expecting thousands in 30 days, and quitting when it generates pocket change. It's like trying to sprint a marathon. You collapse before you even get close. Meanwhile, the person who quietly automates a $50 investment every paycheck consistently saves $5 a day by packing lunch, or dedicates just 30 minutes daily to building a valuable skill, is building unstoppable momentum. The truly surprising insight here is that the sheer rate of your effort matters far less than the consistency of it. Boring, repeatable actions are the quiet, powerful foundation upon which extraordinary results are built. So, here's your immediate action. Think about one area in your personal finance or growth journey where you feel genuinely stuck. Maybe it's saving, maybe it's investing, maybe it's learning a new skill for income. Now, identify the absolute tiniest, most manageable action you could possibly take consistently in that specific area. I mean tiny. Tracking just one category of spending, saving just $1, reading literally one page of a finance book, writing one sentence towards that side hustle idea. Commit to doing only that single tiny action for the next 7 days. This one habit change could truly start everything for you. Okay, so maybe you're nodding along to everything so far, thinking, that sounds great, but what if I literally have no money? You're living paycheck to paycheck. Bills eat everything, and the idea of saving or investing feels like a cruel joke. Saving $5? When you need hundreds just to cover the basics? What's the point? This is exactly where the power of tiny actions is least intuitive, but arguably most impactful. When you feel broke, you feel powerless. Your first goal isn't necessarily building wealth. It's building awareness and control. Tiny, consistent actions give you a sense of agency over your money, even when it feels incredibly scarce. It's like going to the gym when you can barely lift the empty bar. You're not benching 200 pounds. You're just building the habit of showing up. Consider Sarah. She worked a minimum wage job. Bills ate everything. Saving seemed impossible. She felt hopeless. Then she decided to just track every single penny she spent for 1 week using a free app. No judgment, just observation. It was eye-opening. She saw tiny amounts bleeding away. The daily sodas, the impulsive candy bar purchases, stuff that felt insignificant on its own, but added up. She wasn't suddenly saving hundreds, but she was gaining insight. Her tiny action wasn't saving, it was tracking. From that awareness, she found $10 she didn't realize she was wasting. She decided to automatically transfer just $2 to a separate savings account every time she got paid. $2 felt pathetic. Like, what is this even doing? But that $2 wasn't about the amount. It was about building the habit of saving, the mindset of control. Over a year, that's over $100, money she wouldn't have had otherwise. More importantly, she built the muscle of financial discipline. Here's the surprising insight. Especially for beginners, consistency in awareness and small actions is infinitely more important than the dollar amount. You're not just building a bank account initially. You're training your financial muscle. Your action. For the next 3 days, track every single dollar you spend. Use a simple note on your phone, a small notebook, or a basic tracking app. Don't judge it, just record it. No excuses. Welcome to today's Transformation Dive. Ever feel like you're running on a financial treadmill? You make decent money, maybe even good money, but somehow the end of the month feels just as tight as when you were earning less. It's like your bank account has a secret leak you can't find. You're not alone. It's a common trap, and it doesn't require a lottery win to fix. It requires a shift in strategy, moving from hoping things improve to building systems that guarantee progress. That's what Earn Flow Zone is all about, building your personal flow of financial growth and abundance. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think. And let me know. Drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win so far. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Okay, you're not broke. You have a steady income, maybe even a decent one. You comfortably handle the rent or mortgage, keep the lights on, and put food on the table. But somehow, you still feel stretched thin. Bills are paid, but saving feels inconsistent. Investing feels overwhelming. And maybe that lingering student loan or car payment debt hangs over your head like a persistent cloud. You're caught in the classic middle-class squeeze. It's easy to think you need a massive pay raise or some unexpected windfall to finally get ahead, to feel truly secure. But often, for mid-earners, the real problem isn't a lack of income. It's a lack of system and consistency that can truly combat lifestyle creep, where your spending just follows your income. Meet David. He made good money, but by the end of every pay cycle, he always felt broke. He knew he should invest. He knew he should pay off debt faster, but deciding how much, where to send it, and actually doing it felt like this extra chore he never quite got around to. He'd occasionally throw $50 into savings if he had a good month with no surprise expenses. But it wasn't consistent. This wasn't about finding the money. He had it. It was about overcoming the friction of taking action. His eventual solution, his consistent small action, wasn't about finding more money. It was about automating the process entirely. He set up an automatic transfer of $75 from his checking account to a brokerage account every single Monday. Just $75. It felt ridiculously small compared to his salary, almost like a typo. But because it was automatic and consistent, he never missed it, never had to think about it. He also set up an extra $25 bi-weekly automatic payment directly to his student loan principal. Individually, these felt like drops in the bucket. But watch this. Over a year, that's nearly $4,000 invested and over $600 extra towards debt principal, simply disappearing from his checking before he had a chance to spend it. The surprising insight here, especially at this income level, is that achieving consistency isn't primarily about willpower or finding extra money. It's often about automation and dramatically reducing friction. Your most powerful, consistent small action right now might just be setting up a system that requires absolutely minimal willpower to execute. So let's bring this back to you. You've seen how a small, consistent, automated action can snowball for someone in a similar boat. Now it's your turn to apply that principle. Choose one financial goal that resonates with you right now. Maybe it's building up an emergency fund, starting or increasing your investments, or aggressively paying off a specific debt. Now, here's the critical part. Set up one automatic transfer, no matter how small it feels. Seriously, it could be $10, $25, $50. Find an amount that makes you think, okay, I won't really notice that missing. Set it up to happen weekly or bi-weekly, timing it maybe for the day after you get paid. Don't rely on remembering to do it manually each time. That's where willpower fails. This one habit, This simple act of automation changed everything for David because it removed the decision-making process that was holding him back. It's planting a tiny financial seed that automatically gets watered on a schedule. You might ask yourself, what's stopping you from taking 5 minutes right now to set up that transfer? Often, it's just inertia or the feeling that a small amount isn't worth it. But that's the myth to bust. For consistency, the automation is the leverage, not the size of the initial step. Try this for a week. Let that first automatic transfer happen and feel the shift. So, we've explored how even with a decent income, the battle isn't always about earning more, but about systemizing what you have. The power lies not just in the dollars saved or invested, but in the relentless, friction-free consistency automation provides. Think about David's small, automated steps. $75 here, $25 there. They felt insignificant initially, like trying to fill a swimming pool with a teacup. But over time, these consistent automatic actions compounded. The money grew not because he suddenly found a huge surplus, but because he removed the obstacles to saving and investing what he already had. This is the subtle yet profound shift. It moves you from trying to build momentum to automating momentum. The long-term benefit isn't just a healthier bank balance. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're consistently moving forward, even when you're not actively thinking about it. It builds a quiet, powerful confidence. This deeper insight about money, discipline, and growth, it's that the most effective actions are often the ones you don't have to remember to take. They become part of the background hum of your financial life, silently working for you. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Okay, you've looked at managing what you have, perhaps securing it. Now, let's talk about a specific type of go-getter that EarnFlow Zone resonates deeply with: the builders. If you're starting a side hustle, freelancing, building a business, or relentlessly focused on career growth, your primary focus isn't just managing money, it's on generating more of it. You feel that pull, maybe even an intense pressure, to land massive clients immediately. Have a viral launch overnight, or see exponential growth happen like magic. You might think you need that one big break. This pressure, this chasing of the big win, is exactly what leads to burnout, soul-crushing inconsistency, and the dreaded shiny object syndrome, constantly bouncing between ideas instead of building real value. It's like trying to get fit by just running a marathon once instead of doing consistent, smaller workouts. Think about Maria. She desperately wanted to be a freelance writer. She'd pitch potential clients sporadically, get crushed by rejection, and then stop for weeks. Intense bursts of work followed by long stretches of procrastination. She was convinced she needed one huge retainer client to suddenly launch her career into the stratosphere. But her surprising insight came when she shifted her focus. Instead, her consistent, tiny action became write one pitch email every single workday. Even if she felt discouraged, even if it was just sending one. She also committed to spending just 20 minutes daily learning a new writing skill or marketing tactic. These felt almost comically small compared to her big goal. But sending 5 pitches a week meant 20 a month. Learning for 20 minutes daily meant hours of focused skill development over a year. The surprising power for builders is that consistency compounds opportunity. More pitches, more potential clients. And skill, becoming a better writer and marketer. Your consistent, often tiny action isn't just about landing a sale today. It's about building the engine that generates money over time. Your network, your expertise, your audience, your product. So, your action this week. If you identify as a builder, try this for a week. Choose just one specific action directly related to growing your income source or skill. Commit to doing that one action for a specific short time, say 15 to 30 minutes, every single day this week. This one habit changed everything for me when I was building my first venture. Examples could be cold email outreach, dedicated skill practice, creating one piece of content, or sending one networking message. Just pick one and show up daily. So here's the core principle we've explored, the foundational truth that everything we've discussed builds upon. Your financial future isn't some distant planet determined by the lottery ticket you don't buy, the inheritance you don't receive, or the overnight success you don't achieve in a viral TikTok post. Honestly, thinking that way is a common trap. It's actually built brick by brick, dollar by dollar, habit by habit, through small, consistent actions you take today. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain they want to climb. Person A is waiting for their big break. Maybe someone will airlift them to the top, or a secret elevator will appear. They dream big. They plan elaborate routes. They look for the perfect moment or the perfect opportunity when conditions are just right. Years pass. They're still waiting at the bottom, maybe feeling heavier with disappointment, definitely deeper in frustration. They see others making progress and tell themselves, "Wow, they just got lucky," or "They must know something I don't." Now, person B starts tiny. They take one step, then another. Maybe they stumble. Maybe the path isn't clear, but they just keep taking small, consistent steps. They automate a $25 investment weekly. They commit to learning for 15 minutes daily about budgeting or a new skill. They write one email a day, pitching their side hustle. It feels insignificant, almost laughably small compared to the mountain. Sometimes they doubt it, thinking, "Is this even doing anything?" But they keep going, consistently, day after day. They aren't overnight millionaires, but after a year, they look back and see how far they've actually climbed. They have a small emergency fund. Their debt is slightly lower. Their skills are better. They have a few clients, and crucially, they've built a habit that has momentum. After 5 years, the gap between person A, still waiting at the bottom, and person B, halfway up the mountain, is astronomical. Person B isn't lucky. They just understood the compounding power of consistent, often boring, small steps. If you ignore this fundamental lesson, if you continue to wait for the big break or the perfect moment, you will remain stuck in the cycle of wishing and waiting, feeling overwhelmed by the seemingly massive gap between where you are and where you want to be. And you feel that way precisely because you're not actively building the bridge. You're waiting for a helicopter that isn't coming. The true enemy of your financial progress isn't your current income level or a lack of opportunity. It's inconsistency and the seductive, glittering lie of the shortcut. That myth that tells you big results require big, heroic efforts all at once is exactly what paralyzes people. The incredible, empowering truth is this: the power to change your financial trajectory is not in finding a secret formula or making a massive, terrifying leap. It's in harnessing the power of the tiny actions you can take right now, today. It doesn't require external permission, a lot of money, or perfect circumstances. It just requires you deciding to start and applying discipline and consistency to those small decisions. Your step today. Right now, as you finish watching this, don't overthink it. Pick just one tiny action from the examples we discussed throughout this video. Maybe it's opening that budgeting app, automating that small transfer, reading one page of a finance book, or sending one outreach message. Make it ridiculously small if you need to, something you cannot fail to do. And then, do it today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait until you feel more ready, until you have more time, or until the stars align. Do that one single small thing today. That solitary action is the first crucial step in harnessing the compounding power that will build your earn flow zone. As we wind down this session, take a moment to let this sink in. The most profound changes in life, especially financial ones, rarely happen in a single dramatic leap. They happen gradually, often invisibly, day to day, powered by the cumulative effect of small, deliberate actions. The true power isn't out there waiting for you to find it. It's already within you, residing in your ability to choose consistency over comfort, action over anxiety, and discipline over distraction. This isn't just about building a bigger bank account. It's about building resilience, self-trust, and a different relationship with possibility. It's about proving to yourself, through undeniable action, that you are capable of building the future you desire, step by tiny step. This one habit, the habit of consistent small action, changed everything for me, and for countless others who moved from wishing to truly building. It shifts you from a passive observer of your life to the active architect of it. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is bridged not by waiting for permission or a stroke of luck, but by the steps you choose to take, starting right now. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but its power is immense. Remember, in the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around.